Hey, welcome back to the video. Before we start diving into the course, I would like to explain to you guys about the structure of the course. The name of the course is Basic Introduction to Programming with Python, meaning that we will be using the language Python throughout the course. And of course, this is conducted by me. So for the videos, I will be uploading them through Gaoyun Education Center page and BT Academy page, as well as my YouTube channel. And for the resources for this course, you can join my Discord server because I will be uploading all the resources available in that server. Like resources that are related to the course. For example, if we head into this, I have uploaded a resource for this week, which is the link to download Visual Studio Code Raw.io in Python, and of course, the introduction slide, which is the lecture slide that I am currently talking about. So, let's get back. In here, let's start talking about course outline. For the course outline, there will altogether be 9 modules. And for the first module, we will talk about the introduction of programming. Then we will get into data types after that, and we will talk about operators, which is like plus, minus, or logical operators such as or, and after that we will start getting into loop. Then we will dive into arrays, and after that we will talk about tuples, lists, and dictionaries. Although they are types of arrays, they are more specialized towards Python. And if we have learned about arrays, and we will level up and learned about two-dimensional arrays. And finally, we will talk about subprogram, which in other words, if you include a return value, it becomes a function. And of course, for the final value, we will apply what we have learned throughout this course and start building the project. Okay, so let's start with module 1, which is the introduction and the concept of programming. So if you go ahead and type programming on Google, it will instantly give you a meaning, a definition, which is no other than the process or activity of writing computer programs. In fact, it is actually true, but if you think about it, this is way too general. But why do we do it, and why do we write computer programs, right? So let's talk about that. If we head to Coursera, it will give you the best explanation, which is that programming is the collaboration between humans and computers. But why do we do it? Why do we collaborate with computer out of nowhere? Well, the answer is simple. We need to solve the real world problems. And how do we achieve it? Well, in fact, we give instruction to the computers, which is basically telling them what to do. Like for example, we tell them to print, or we tell them to communicate with the hardwares, or we tell them to carry out some calculations or automations, something like that. But how do we actually achieve that? How do we give instruction to computers? Well, it's simple. We write programs, and that is what writing program is. And when writing programs, according to the result that we're looking for, according to the field that we will be using, we need to use an appropriate programming language. There are tons of programming languages out there, which is no other than C++, C#, and there's Python, which we will be using throughout this course, and JavaScript. There are still tons left, which I haven't included in this slide, such as PHP or SQL. There are a lot more. And after we have written those codes, we don't actually start to run it. In fact, we will still have to compile the code into machine codes. But why do we compile it? Like, what exactly is compiling? So, basically compiling is that in order to explain you about that, we need to understand what computer actually understands. Okay, so for the numbering system, computer doesn't use our the thing that we usually use, which is base 10. The numbering system we use as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, altogether 10 value, and it is known as base 10. But for computers, they use base 2. In other words, that is called binary. They use binary, but they don't understand human language such as English or Burmese. They don't understand none of them. What they in fact understand is the machine code and the binary. But there might be something which left you wondering, why do they only understand 0 and 1, right? Well, turns out that computers are built out of transistor, and each of those transistor has switches. So what switches do is, compared to our daily life, we have seen switches, as in light bulb switches, something like that. We turn the switch on and off, meaning there's only two values, and it has the same concept to it. But of course, in real life, the process is much complex than just 0 and 1. But this is just a basic fundamental that you need to understand. So let's move on. So after we have translated the code we have written into machine code, we actually have to execute, meaning we have to run the program to see if it actually works or not. So I want to demonstrate compile and execute for you. So I have prepared something which we will be talking about in a second. So if we head to here, this is VS Code, the only code editor that we will be using throughout the course. And if you're seeing this and you don't understand a thing, don't worry about it, because you don't necessarily need to understand any of this right now. I just want to explain the concept of compiling to you. So let's suppose that we want to print out the word hello world using the programming language C. And I have already written the codes. So we can actually start to run it, right? Let's try it. So if you're wondering, the command, I am using the Linux Windows sub-Linux system for this environment. And if you don't have it, then don't worry, we'll get into it later. And so the command to run is .select, and we will start running hello.c. Turns out we have got something, and I mistyped it. So it says permission denied. Why? Well, it is simply because we haven't compiled it. So when you instantly try to run the program, the computer itself, the machine will have to compile it and run it. So in order to do that, it needs permission. And technically, mostly you won't have the permission. So what we have to do is we will compile it. And the command to compile is called make. So let's see. We have compiled it, and you will see, if you notice something pop up here, which is hello. And if you tap it, VS will say you should not see it because it's either binary or unsupported text encoding. But I will show you guys anyway, because this is what a machine code looks like. In these things, these are the machine codes. And that is what the computer understands. And in fact, of course, you guys necessarily don't have to understand any of these, because that's machine code. We're humans. So we would start running it. But this time, instead of running this program, I will run this, the compile file. Hello. And here, voila, we have got the result. Hello world. But the good news is we will be using Python and you won't see any of this problem. Let me demonstrate it for you. So suppose that we want to do the same thing but using Python, and then I will print out the word hello world. And we can instantly run it. And the run command for Python file is Python 3. And we will run it. And here, we instantly get the output hello world. Why is that? You might be wondering, we need to compile it when we run the C file, but why don't we need to compile it when we run the Python? Well, in fact, Python is an interpreted language, meaning it's compiled. It does translate into machine code, but it does it on the way while it is running the program. So for example, we hit enter and it runs the program. It translates this line of code into machine code first, and then it prints out the word hello world. So it translates the code line by line, and that is the meaning of interpreted. So let's say that I want to print out another line, which is hello. I can type hello here, and then we save it, and if we hit run, and we will still get the output, which is no other than hello world and hello. Meaning that first, it translates this line of code into a machine code, and then it output the word hello world, and it continues to the next line, and then output hello. And that is how interpreted language carry on compiling and executing. So we have already talked about how to write programs, but you guys need to know one more thing. What can we do with programming? Because you guys would be like learning this out of nowhere without knowing what to do with it. Okay? So I will explain some example of where programming is used. Firstly, it is no other than software. Software that we are using nowadays, like system software or application software, they need to be programmed. And the next thing is website. So you might have encountered many websites, and all of these, they are done through programming. And some of the electronic devices, they also need to be programmed to let them work properly. Lastly, which is really popular right now, artificial intelligence, AI. And all of these require programming. So you might get a hint of what to do with it. So we can start diving into the course. I will talk about what we will be using throughout this course. And first of all, Python would be the main language for this course. And after that, we will use draw.io. And you will encounter times where you will have to design a program and write a program. But instead of writing those programs instantly, we will start building the design out of it. And we will have to draw diagrams. For that, we will use draw.io. And of course, the code editor, VS Code, which is an integrated development environment, and we will be using that. And all of these sources has been provided by me, that Discord server, and I've shown you before. And so we need to consider what you might need. Since this is a programming course, you might need a laptop or a desktop. And a notebook, of course. You need to note down the things that I say. And if you don't have any of laptop or desktop, don't worry about it. All you need is passion. Write down what I say and write down the codes. We will also dry run it. That's not a problem, you know. As I mentioned before, the languages in instruction would be English, but Burmese transcript will be available for this course. And that is all for this week. Next week, we will start getting into system development life cycle. and I will see you guys next week.